this is not Christmas Eve, and last time I checked, the CBC still had power. But we're here talking with Ken about Foolish Heart. And it makes me wonder, you call it Foolish Heart. Do you think, is there such a thing as a smart heart?
A smart heart? Aren't those little things you buy candies that my kids buy? I don't know. What's a smart heart?
I don't know. Is there a way to go through life and to handle
to try
love
and beat the
be
game.
Smart?
To try to beat the game. No, you can't be smart and have. No. Actually, the answer to that is no. There's no such thing as a smart heart, because smart implies a rational mind, and the heart's completely non-rational. When
you insinuate your character and yourself into the stories and become more and more present in each of the episodes, do you think that makes Foolish Heart more honest and more powerful, or less?
Well, those are two different words, honest and powerful, but and honest, well, it's just another story. It's just telling another story, and it's maybe it's getting a little sort of tired, that idea. I'm a little tired of it myself, you know, that behind the scenes look. But it's one of the only worlds that I know. So it's a world where you can sort of cross over from fantasy to reality very easily, because you're the character. You dress up, you put a black suit on, you put a black tie on, you're made up. People sort of put your jacket on for you. They kind of come by and they pick off little pieces of fluff, and you're pampered. And then you shoot yourself now in a scene, and 2 seconds later you were not in the scene, but you were being treated in this way. So it's one of the best ways to live.
Yeah, but that really messes up your sense of self-worth.
It does. It does.
Like, what do you do when you walk in the door at home?
Well, I mean, that's another story. What do you do when you stop shooting? You know?
Right.
Oh, you get just incredibly depressed, and you lose all of your self-confidence, and your self-esteem goes way down, and you feel it's the end of the world, and you feel that you'll never work again, and it all sort of drifts away. You find yourself going to Blockbuster Video and hanging out and walking the streets, and the phone stops ringing, and people stop sort of coming up to you and picking off lint.
You have to pick your own lint.
You have to take your own lint off your clothes. And yeah, so it's quite a shift of gears.
You've probably been asked a million times, with the style of work that you do and the look of the work that you do, why you're making television instead of film.
When you're not writing for in television for a commercial network, and you're given the creative freedom that CBC has given me, and I don't take that lightly. You know, I don't take the CBC for granted, and the potential public television for granted. You don't have to write to drag people into the theaters. I mean, to get people into the theaters who are going to pay $10 to come and see that movie, and somebody wants that $10, the people that are putting up the money want that $10, and they have to figure out how to get those people into that theater. The character, the thing that you're doing, completely changes. You write for the market. Now, if you say, forget about that, don't worry about the numbers, don't worry about making dollars, don't worry about putting people in the seats, then you let your imagination go, and you write with from a certain kind of personal vision, and nobody's asking you questions about why is that general audience going to respond to this. You just write it. And television, public television, has the potential to produce stuff that comes from that kind of vision. And I think that people actually like that. They like to see something that's different from the very extremely narrow content that's produced in television and movies. Because when you really do look at movies, and forget about the independent movie world for a second, because even the independent movie world, it's got to be high concept. It's becoming narrow and narrow in its content scope. And when you look at commercial television and commercial movies, they're all almost exactly the same.
Well, how many people do you think are watching Foolish Heart and have watched over the last 3 nights?
Would I guess?
Yeah.
I would say very few.
Do you think the CBC should be worried about that?
No. I don't think the CBC should keep score.
Why not?
I think when you judge the value of a show by the numbers, what you're doing is you're using a system that was invented by American Commercial Networks, which is the Nielsen sort of rating system, to and they use that system for a very specific reason. That is, how many people are watching that show? How much money can you charge your advertisers? Now, it was invented for that purpose. Now, when you start to use that to determine whether a show has value, it gets all confused, right? So I think what you have to do is, and the government has to recognize this, they have to say to them, go and produce it. And you know, we'll put a creative head in at the CBC, we'll give the presidency to this guy. He'll do this job for 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, 8 years. And then another guy will come along, and he'll have another vision of what the CBC should be. And it should constantly be changing.
There's another guy that's going to come along right now with another vision of the CBC. It's the news, Peter Mansbridge. We have to go.
Okay.